Rice Media.
What's going on, everyone? This is Raymond from Cold Rice Media for the Wuz Good podcast. I haven't done one of these recordings for a while. I know we switched over from the turn of the year to doing some live streams. I don't know what we're going to do with that. I think we'll do some periodical live streams here and there, but I do want to get more into the recordings and the features of these things during the podcast because it allows a little bit more flexibility in scheduling. And in doing that, like especially today, I've got a gentleman here that I've been actually wanting to talk with. I couldn't find the right positioning because of the live stream and how to get him on. But then I got on the phone with him and we kind of just like, let's touch base and just try to figure out, what we can talk about and everything. And so many things came out of that. I was very excited after that. So we're gonna go deep into some conversations and during this feature here. I do want to go ahead and introduce him. His name is John Boutsomsi.
Yes, sir.
Did I get that right? Did I get that? And I'll give you go ahead and take the floor and kind of give yourself a little bit of an introduction because I know you obviously know your life better than I do.
Okay. Well, Sabaidi, and yeah, man. My name is John, but I go by Buk John as my stage name. I'm Lao. I'm married to a Filipina, and my content primarily is of just Lao culture right now. Just Lao culture, everything Lao as far as the food, the traditions, what we do. And I'm trying to move my content onto just like basic, like just me. Just because right now in this transition with life, because I'll be moving, it's been a little bit difficult to just schedule what kind of content I'm going to be doing versus like just doing everyday vlog type stuff is a lot easier. So that's who I am. I'm Buk John. I'm the guy that started off on TikTok and other channels, and now I'm here.
So yeah, you appeared out of and when we were having a conversation before, I was like, I don't know where. I started seeing your content out there more and more often. And before you know it, like even my sister-in-law, who's in Washington State, started forwarding us your videos. And I started taking a look at you. You were actually introduced to me by one of our previous guests and definitely a friend of the show, Lao Daddy, Jimmy.
Okay. Yeah.
And he's over here in the area. And then he told me, he's like, you got to talk to him, man. He's like, do you want to get Buk John on the show? Just to interview him. I was like, yeah. I was like, I don't know where this guy came from, but he's all over my feed, my algorithms. I know you, the most recent, I guess, collective that I saw you with was Sup Magok, but I know you were doing this stuff way before. So can you kind of just walk us through the previous content creation all the way through?
Yeah. So I guess my history as far as videos goes back to like when I was a kid. My dad had the camcorder, so I'd be walking around with that, like the little LCD camcorder,
and I'd be doing flip outs.
Right, yeah, I'll be doing like little home videos. I started off doing lip sync videos with my brother. We used to call ourselves the Board Brothers, and we would do these crazy like lip sync videos, and I would speed them up to Chipmunk. So like that was our thing, and like made us funny. We thought that was funny, and we would do like stuff like random skits that were just dumb. We were just kids, and it was inspired by the crazy mind of like SpongeBob, because SpongeBob was our guy. You know what I mean? And then I went on to high school and I got into theater. So that was kind of my thing. I fell in love with the arts of, I was in choir and I was doing shows. Like our stage coach, our director, I guess, she would push out shows every 3 months. And that's a lot for teenagers. You know what I mean? So I started in sophomore year, I think, and then all the way until I graduated. So to like slam out lines, you know what I mean? For like, we did West Side Story with the High School Musical. They did Fiddler on the Roof, and we had our own production that we did. And it definitely was challenging for me during that time in my life, but it was a good challenge, and I liked it and I enjoyed it because got to be on stage, sing and dance and act and put on a show for people and make people laugh, make people and give people memories. It was good memories for me too. So I did that, and then I took a break, right? Because I had some life things happen. Like I joined the military.
Okay.
And then, so in the military, obviously you have like really strict, guidelines as to like what you can post and what
Yeah.
you can do. So yeah, I joined the military. So I kind of took a pause. And then as I got out, uh, I was like, I need to get back into it. So now I'm here doing this again,
Now,
just being silly.
I believe so. You're in Anchorage,
Yes.
Alaska. You. That's not where you're originally from, is it?
I was born in Sacramento.
Okay.
And then we moved, around the States when I was a baby, and then we settled up here in Anchorage. So I've been up here basically my whole life. So since I was,
wow.
let's say since I was like 3 or 4. So
Okay. So the decision to get in front of the camera again and start entertaining people,
yeah.
was it that let me do TikTok or let me do like just YouTube stuff? Was that the original thing, or did you try a few things before you got into just more online social media content creation?
So I really didn't really know what I was getting myself into. During the time, it was probably about a year and a half ago is when I really started to get serious about doing content creation. And I just remember sitting there one night and I was like, there's a Lao community on TikTok. And I was kind of looking around and I was seeing people like Jimmy. I was seeing people like Tolia, that one Lao girl, Dragon. I've seen, all of the Sup Macaw crew. And I was like, I wonder if I could do this too. Like I used to do this back then. Why don't I just do it now? There's obviously a platform for it. So I did. And then like overnight, one of the videos blew up. And then immediately, I don't know if you know Chinda, but Chinda reached out to me and he was like, hey, man, I love your stuff. Like I want you to keep up with it and keep doing it. So he's been like a really good supporter, friend, just everything. So I love Chinda. Shout out to Chinda. So that's basically it. I was doing that. I did fiddle around with the YouTube thing, trying to get serious with YouTube, but it's hard. It's hard out there on YouTube. It takes a lot of time because if you know anything about content creation, if you're working on YouTube, like the algorithm is hard and your products are a lot bigger. So editing is going to take so much time. So when you're doing YouTube videos, it takes time out of TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, because those platforms are a lot shorter and type platform, content.
Yeah.
Maybe 5 minutes here.
I mean, it's definitely much easier. Yeah, I definitely agree. I mean, we've had long content on YouTube, and that was kind of like our first thing, being a podcast and everything like that.
Right.
But it's just, I think with IG, with you doing that, doing what you're doing right now, I think it's a nice introduction and a nice little 1 minute, 20-second reel of an introduction and into your personality on these short skits. Were you methodic on preparation, or were you just like, I'm going to just put a bunch of content on there and see what sticks?
Okay, to be completely honest, unmedicated, not really methodic. So over the last year or so, I've always known I've had ADHD, and I was like, I need to get serious about my mental health and taking care of myself. So the content, that whole idea of becoming a content creator and just doing this thing with the Lao culture was, one, I needed a niche and I knew Lao culture, but two, it was a hyperfixation, just a random thought, and I just ran with it.
Yeah.
And I've done it in the past, so that's why it was like so easy to just dive right in. So it wasn't methodical at all. I tried to be methodical, making content and posting content, but just unmedicated. Now I'm medicated, and hopefully it'll be a lot easier as I like slowly start, put content out.
So of course, as a content creator, and as so many others that are out there, right?
Yeah.
It's just is your approach more, I got to be a little bit different, or is it more, I'm just going to follow suit and I'm going to see if along the way I'm going to find my niche or my one-off? Is that what was, or is it pretty much, because with what Sup Macaw, it is a Lao. So what Sup Macaw is, it's a Lao collective for a lot of folks out there that don't know. They're a Lao collective on IG. They've blown up, and I gotta tell you, you're definitely one of the reasons as to why it is. I know it's as why it's gotten to that point, because I've seen the views on that, and now they're really up there. But with them, it is definitely a lot of, like you said, it's Lao culture. it's comedy, it's it's a
Yeah.
comedy, culture, seriousness, and history. So
Yeah.
were you thinking like, well, I'm now that I'm picked up by these guys as a contributor,
Hmm.
do you start thinking of, okay, maybe I should kind of start doing something a little bit different within, on a different approach, or still just, let's follow what's been working?
I think so I try to at the very end of the whole grand scheme of things,
Hmm.
I really do want to be someone in the forefront for the people. Like I want to represent Lao people in a good way, whether that's through entertainment
Hmm.
or maybe that's through like politics and like representation that way. Like if I think about it, like if you think about social media as a whole and the power of social media, I'm actually just trying to learn how to harness the power of social
Hmm.
media.
Hmm.
And if I can get everyone's attention on social media, Kun Lao, everyone, and people who support the Kun Lao people, the society, then and if they trust me, then I can hopefully be a person that can help represent and make positive change in our community. Because I mean, we'll get into it, like all the stuff in my life, as
Hmm.
far as like the careers that I've been in.
Yeah.
And Supmakok has definitely been a huge help and a supporter of my content. But they have huge players, man. They got Harris and they got
Oh,
and you know what I mean.
yeah.
And that's just the two off the top of my head. Victoria, like those guys. Gary, here I go.
Hmm.
I'm listening off. Ela, they are huge in the Lao community, and they're doing big things because people might think it's just skits. People might think it's just people eating food, but
Hmm.
really what it is you're hooking somebody outside of our culture and saying, "Hey, this is us. This is who we are. Come and join and come be a part of us, and we'll teach you, and we've come from a place where we were shamed for so long with our culture. I'm speaking specifically with food.
Mm.
Um, when I've heard stories of uncles and aunts going to school and they would have their Lao food for lunch,
Hmm.
and Asian food, it's gonna stink up the whole cafeteria. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
So when they get a smell of tapadak, your normal Caucasian person or a white person who's not do they don't understand, and it was different times back then. They're gonna say something. And I think Lao people for a long time have been, I guess, shamed for being us. And, we've had to go into hiding, and our parents are always like, oh, don't do that or don't do this because people will think something. And Supmakok, the group Supmakok, coming together and doing that has broken that
Hmm.
stigma, right? We're Lao and we're proud, straight up,
Absolutely.
right? So I give it to them, man. They're a very powerful group. I don't think they understand how big they are in the grassroots movement that is Lao culture. So I gotta give it to them, man.
Yeah.
They support me, but at the end of the day, that's all them. Like that, you know what I mean? They're doing big things just by coming together. Just by
Yeah,
coming
absolutely. It's
and
a great time too. It's like it's perfect timing from you,
yeah,
because from someone that's, well, I'm within the culture, and mainly because that is my community over here, the Lao
yeah,
community here, and
hmm
also the Filipino American community, and seeing that, there's just this. I don't know if it's been happening, but
hmm
ever since, I think it was post COVID,
hmm
there's just been this surge of Lao content, Lao events, and I mean, with what Sabaidi Fest that happened, like starting last year, and then there's more content creators that are actually
yeah,
coming out, and it, like you had mentioned, it's definitely putting Lao in the front, because um, something that was, I don't know how often it's actually happening in a lot of the other cities in the US, but a lot of Lao restaurateurs are actually putting Thai food up front, but then they
yeah,
will serve Lao food, and
yeah,
it's more of a back page type of a menu thing. But then now it's just people are catching on, people are
yeah,
understanding there's a difference in these tastes.
yeah. There's definitely a movement,
Mhm.
and like we can say like things like Anthony Bourdain when he went to Laos and he did his little documentary and
Yeah.
he did those series there. And then you go to like Chef Gordon Ramsay, when he's saying things like, yeah, Laos is like one of the best food in Southeast Asia. and then you have other movements. I don't think that these individuals understand during the time that they're in right now. We are literally within a renaissance period of the Lao culture.
Mhm.
And A had a big part of that. I don't know if she
Huge.
knows. She's funny as heck, but I don't think she knows that her being on TV alone, being on Next Level Chef was huge.
Mhm,
Huge.
mhm.
I'm getting chills talking about it. Like
No, it is. It was a groundbreaking feature in that particular, because I ask Lao people all the time. This is
Mhm.
like, who's the most famous Lao person you know?
Yeah.
Like, period, like
Yeah.
ever.
Yeah.
And they'd say it'd take them a while. It'd take them
Mhm.
a while to come up with someone. I mean, of course, you've got, I forget what his name is, from the UFC, the fighter.
Oh,
Um,
Andre Sukumtai.
Andre, yeah.
Yeah.
Andre is actually also going to be in Sabati Fest, but then and
Yeah.
he's making his rounds. Great guy. And but then a lot of people also say A, and also Mr. Harris. And
Yes.
so it's one of those things to where the more I think about this, like, it's the uprising
Mhm.
in the Lao culture right now. It's perfect timing, and it's just, it allows more modern Lao people that are actually going out there to actually have their turn, have their turn.
Yes. Yes. I would categorize them as I don't know if the word is catalyst or, ingredients in this thing, A
Mhm.
Harris saying, because Sang was also on a TV show. Harris is
Mhm.
huge on social media.
Yes.
And then you have this like kind of a whirlwind, like these people who are working, out independent of each other, and then you mix them in, and then they blow up their socials along. It's just this avalanche effect, and everyone gets the ground running. And so, when you're a young kid, and when you're just someone who's watching this, you're like, wow, I have representation.
Yes.
Representation matters. It really does, because now people see like, oh, I'm in the limelight. Like, I don't have to, explain myself. I don't have to
Explain what
hide.
Laos is like. What
Right.
is, when you say what you are? It's like, yeah, I'm Laos. It's like, what is that? I was like, oh, it's by Thailand. It's like, oh,
Yeah.
like you're using a reference point just to actually
Right.
introduce what you are. But then now you're like, I'm Laos.
Yeah. Yeah,
That's
exactly.
awesome, man. I love it.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
love it. So
I didn't know what representation matters until this time period, until I was in the mix, so it's pretty big stuff.
it is, and media, um, Hollywood is now welcoming it, and just just I think streaming allows that also, because you're no longer trying to find general, like, legacy broadcasting
Yes, sir.
to follow
100%.
that, and then the streaming allows it to do it. Netflix, I mean, if you can go on Netflix now, and there's tons of, just Asian American, or like
Hmm.
traditional stuff that's already on there. YouTube, of course, TikTok. So you're definitely one of the ones that's out there. And I want to go back to when you said, I want the community to trust, to trust me,
Yeah.
that I'll be a representative of that. We can go. Let's talk about your career, because I found this out just last week,
Yeah.
that you were that you
Yeah. Yeah.
are
Yeah. 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 That I am. I
that you
run these
are
streets. No, I'm just kidding.
you do run these streets. You're out there.
Yeah. Yeah. So I guess in my early career, so growing up, I was mama's boy. So
Mhm.
mom was like, I wanted to get into theater and acting and all that, but my mom was like, nah, that's not you.
You got the look for it, bro. You're a hand,
Oh,
like,
thanks,
you got
man.
chiseled and everything. Got the hair. I
Oh,
was like, good
I
God.
appreciate it. No, thank you. That means a lot. So mom was like, you're gonna join the military, and she is premeditated. So if she's watching
Mhm.
this right now, I get it. Like, you know what I mean? Planting seeds. So she stuck me in like JROTC when I was a kid.
Mhm.
So I did that, alongside theater. And then when I got out, she was like, I ain't paying for your college, so you're gonna have to figure out a way, which is fine. I get it,
That's
right?
awesome.
Uh, first generation, or first generation American, right? And she was a refugee that came over. So yeah, we don't have. We talk about like money, old money, like the Westerners normally have.
Yeah.
I joined the military at 18. And then I basically went in as an intelligence analyst. And that doesn't really mean much, because all I've ever done in my military career was training.
Okay.
I've never deployed. I've never done any of that. So like when people are like, "Oh, you were in the military," I was like, "Yeah," but a lot of that time was ROTC time, because after being an intelligence analyst, I went and did a ROTC at the New Mexico Military Institute. where we trained all the time. I hated it. I hated
Mm-hmm.
military school. I look back now, but I love it and I miss it. But you know, um, I got my commission as a lieutenant, and then life happened, right? And this is crazy for me to say this out loud because I know that this is going to go out there in the universe, but
Mm-hmm.
I'm not very proud of my military career because I pulled out during it wasn't I didn't leave on my terms. I
Okay.
left my military career during the sequester during Obama's time when he was like, all right, if you want out, you can get out. People weren't passing height, weight. People weren't it was when we were downsizing. So it was a good
Okay.
time for me. I was going through my issues at the time. And the way the program is built is if you're not, on track for certain things, then you can go. So for me, I'm just gonna be honest. Like it was either get demoted, down to like private first class or specialist, or finish school and do everything. So I was like, this is rough. I'm 19, 20 years old now at this time, and it was a really hard decision in my life. So that was when I decided to get out. But
Okay.
I guess the good thing was I had some really good leadership. And I remember one of the majors looking at me and he was like, Boutsomsi. I was like, yes, sir. He was like, do you intend on coming back at all? And I was like, Roger that, sir. Of course, whenever I finish school, I'm coming back as a lieutenant, of course, because I'm not going to, I just can't do that to myself, right? I worked this hard. So he discharged me, separated. And then I left as a lieutenant. He didn't demote me. And I was like, what
Whoa.
the heck?
Whoa.
Because most guys in my program were getting dropped and getting demoted. And I was like, yo, this is wild. Because I never got demotion like paperwork or anything. It was just separated as a lieutenant. And thinking back now, I'm so happy that he did that because it made me believe that he believed in something in me. So there was that. After the military, I got into mental health. It was by fluke, I guess. My wife was working at the psychiatric hospital up here in Alaska,
Okay.
and she was like, "You should apply for this job here." Oh, actually, let's step back really quick. I was in college, and I took this psychology class, and I was like, "I'm really interested in psych work." So I talked to one of my professors and she was like, I'm working at this other agency as well. You should come over here. So I started working there as a treatment counselor. I say in quotes because you don't really need much training other than knowing how to talk to be a treatment counselor. So there I worked with kids who had mental health and behavioral issues. And I worked there for some time, and it was an eye opener to see what trauma does to kids and the part of society that's kind of hidden. And I'll
Like,
get to the
like all
women's
ages?
group
Is
part.
it? What's the age? What's the age range there?
So it was, I think the youngest they had was like, I want to say just teenage years. So I want to say like
Okay.
10 to 14, I think was their youngest.
Okay.
And they had kids all the way up to 18.
Oh,
I'm
wow.
and they categorized the different units as well. So I worked on the younger unit where the kids were just, they had abused homes and stuff like that. And they had like schizophrenia or like
Mhm.
oppositional defiant disorder and stuff like that. So that's where I first started off. There was another unit next door. It was older kids, but they were sex offenders. So, and they went there for treatment. So there was that. I moved from there, and then I moved over to the psychiatric hospital where there were a lot more severe cases, and that was another eye opener because I was like, this is the worst of the worst cases coming to the hospital.
Wow.
In this time, man, I'm really learning how to talk to people, learning how to basically deal with people yelling at you and saying dirty things because they don't mean it. They don't mean it,
Of course not.
And of course, I'm over here thinking like, I can be kind of narcissistic at times, but I'm over here thinking like, I feel like life has kind of taken me this way for a reason. I have to keep pushing on. I have to keep leading this reason. There's a reason why I'm in this spot working with people with severe illnesses. Because yeah, I don't know. I just always felt that I was always compelled. There, I moved over next door. There was another building next door. It was the juvenile detention. So I went from working in the psychiatric hospital to juvenile detention, and I worked specifically with teenage sex offenders who had been who are in treatment. And the way most states work, but in Alaska, is the state takes custody of the kid,
Ooh.
and while they're going through their stuff, through their programs and stuff like that, I would be basically the one that runs them through the routine, and they would have groups here and there. It takes a special kind of person to work with teenagers who have offended in that manner. A lot of people can't, but that was the one unit that I worked on, was that. And then from there, yeah, that's when I decided to become a law enforcement officer.
So you were, and we'll just jump right into that.
Yeah.
Right after this. But how old were you during this time? Like, from what age range?
So right after the Army, I think I was 23 probably when I got out. So I was 18, military school. Yeah, about 22, 23, because when I had my son was when I got out, and I had my son around 23. And I think by the time I got to the law enforcement side, it was in 2018. So 4 years ago, 4 or 5 years ago, I was 28. So
wow.
So, yeah.
I mean, while everybody else was out there, I mean, those are your considered heydays, just and you're out there, and especially at that, I mean, you're definitely still younger in there, and being able to be mature enough to, I can't even relate. I was still running around during that time, but for you to have that at work, and then also, I would imagine you take that home and then rinse, repeat the next day, right? So
yeah.
Okay. So when you had decided to move forward, was it like, I don't want to say burnt out, or did you feel like, okay, there's a higher calling at this point?
There's a funny story behind this, actually. So I was like, I was at my wit's end, and my wife wanted more. My wife and I, she, God bless her, she's been my rock, and she has literally changed my life because she's helped me in some pretty hard decisions. We were at a point in our life where, okay, well, we have a spot, we have our own, pad, and we're in pretty good careers. Like, what's next? Do we keep having babies? Like, and we just go coast into retirement? And she was just like, we both looked at each other, like, no, I guess not. We don't want to, like, no, we want more. Let's challenge ourselves some more. So we did just that. We just left we moved out of our little townhome that we had, and moved in with her parents to try to make really big life changes. And she was like, you're going to join the military again. And I was like, let's do it. Right. So I was like, let me just drop my commission. Let me demote myself and go back in. And of course I tried.
Okay.
And remember I had told you about the major who
they kept you as a lieutenant. Okay.
Lieutenant. I couldn't drop my commission. There was a bar set. So I went in, they were like, first of all, there's a bar, so you can't go in for some. You need to have like a special code to get approval to go back in. So that would mean, I'm assuming, probably either to pass college, to graduate college, because I only had like, I don't know, a few semesters left. I was done with it, right? Just so they had to do that to get me back in, and that was going to be a headache. And two, I was fat. Oh. They're like, bro, your BMI is really high.
Oh shoot!
So you're gonna have to lose some weight. And
the kids will do that to you, right?
Yeah, kids will do that, right? And I was like, oh man, this is kind of a pain in the butt. Like, there's just too much going on. So my wife was like, well, if you're not, then I'm gonna go. And I was like, what? You know what I mean?
Whoa.
So
did she serve?
She's serving. Yes, she's actually she's in Texas right now.
Oh, okay. Okay.
She's in Texas right now for some training. So I guess it's like pre-deployment training or something like that.
Wow, bro.
Yeah. So she was like, I'm gonna go in, and I'm like, this kind of sucks, because a part of me is like, my manhood's been ripped out. Like, I can't do the one thing I'm supposed to be doing, right? So she enlists, and I'm like, fudge. What am I gonna do? Because I have to contribute to this relationship. I have to contribute to my family. That's what you're supposed to do. Funny story. I'm up all night. I'm watching YouTube videos on like careers and stuff like that. And somehow I end up on this guy. I don't know.
YouTube
do you know Patty
videos
Mayo?
On careers? Okay.
Yeah. Do you know Patty Mayo?
I don't.
Okay. Patty Mayo is like, he's like, I don't want to say wannabe Dog the Bounty Hunter, but he's this funny character on YouTube.
Okay.
He's a security guy, and he's like, or he's a bounty hunter, and
Okay.
basically what he does is he goes around chasing bounties like Dog the Bounty Hunter,
Mhm.
and
wanna know.
so he's over here and he's got some guy on the ground and he's being ridiculous. And I'm like, you know what? I could be a cop. I don't have to be what he's doing, but I'm gonna go be a cop. So yeah, that's what I did. I from that video, I went and applied for the state troopers and for the law enforcement local law enforcement agencies, and yeah,
Okay.
I got in. I got
I
in.
have to take
you
a
know
peek
what I
at this guy. I mean, he's still fairly young. Okay.
mean? Yeah.
Shout out to Patty Mayo. Maybe
Shout out to Fatty Mayo. Yeah.
So you decided to, okay, you know what? Yeah, I could do this. Okay, so
Yeah, I
that
could do it. Like,
then
if I
you,
couldn't join the military, I'll just do this. You know?
I mean, I guess that's the next best thing as far as serving, as far
Right,
as the
yeah.
community, right?
Yeah, I want to be there to serve. And that's the other thing too, is like I have this thing where I have to have like a uniform or something. I have
Yeah,
to,
yeah.
it makes me feel good about myself, like I'm
Yes.
serving in that manner. So
you moved into how long you been an officer?
about 5 years. Yeah.
5 years now. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And you're a full on. You're not at the desk. You're out there.
Yeah.
Patrolling?
Yeah. Patrolling. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So
Yeah.
I mean, it's Alaska, so I'm sure we're gonna have very common, laws that are being broken in individuals. But what do you feel sets that type of criminality over there different from what's going on in the mainland?
Yeah. So it's good that you said mainland, because that is a huge component to everything here. So a lot of factors, right? People like to be like, oh, what's up in Alaska? There's a small population, this and that, right? Well, let's talk about population per capita. Like, we have the highest as far as like violent crimes and homicide in the United States. I mean, we're definitely not in Detroit, right? Or we're definitely not like, Chicago. But we have our own kind of thing. I like to tell people like Alaska and the city that I'm in is like a petri dish. So to our west is going to be like the inlet. So the entire inlet are here. And then to the east is going to be an entire mountain range. Right. And then north is going to be the other cities. And you got to go way up north to like, Prudhoe Bay. And then down south is the way out to basically like the what do you call it? The southern cities like Whittier.
Okay.
So just two ways, where I would say one way in, one way out. Right. So that means the dynamic of people within the city are pretty intense, right? If you commit a crime, where are you going? It's where are you going to go when you commit a crime? You're kind of in a petri dish, right? And the germs kind of grow. So that's one factor, right? That kind of like geographical dynamic. The other factors are the fact that if I remember correctly, I'm not sure, you will have to fact check me on this, but I believe sex offenders from other states can come to Alaska and not have to register. Okay. So let's say you committed a sex offense in another state. You come to Alaska. Well, I don't have to register. Nobody would know. Right. Unless you committed a crime of a sex offense, a crime in Alaska, then you would have to register. But that's what I remember hearing. I think the governor was working on changing that. But that's what I remember. Okay.
We'll look at that.
And if that's not the case, then we'll just keep that as another factor. But two, the other factor is I know for a fact people who have warrants in other states, most of them are non-extraditable, meaning they're not gonna buy them back. They're not gonna ship them back. So I could conduct a traffic stop or run into somebody with let's say a high assault charge, right? It'd be like an assault 1 charge or whatever, battery in your guys' cases, whatever the definition or term. And it's like a DV battery or a DV assault charge. And there's a warrant out for their arrest, but they're in Alaska. Did the other agency want them back? No. Right. And it can be felony. It could be a felony warrant, right? The only big ones that it's rare to ever see a warrant, actually like an extraditable warrant. I've been in for 5 years and I think I've only served one ever. So that's the second factor, right? So people are just flocking up to escape, to run away from their warrants. So you have that. And then you have 3, we have a big homeless a houseless problem. And I work specifically with that community because I'm not just a regular patrol. I work in mental health, but the I would just wrap them up in three, I guess. So mental health, homelessness, and drug. Those are the other three factors
Okay.
affecting our city. And those are pretty big factors, right?
Here's already something that just the common kind of just an ignorant thing to say as far as what Alaska is concerned when you say homelessness, right? It's like, well, how can you even be homeless up in in a place with it being so cold? So like educate me on that, enlighten me on that as far as with that ignorant thought.
I wouldn't say it's so it's super. It's hard. It's hard for the houseless population. I think that's the politically correct term.
Houseless, dehomed,
houseless,
and
there's unhoused, the unhoused population.
Unhoused. Okay.
Yeah, it is extremely hard in Alaska for them because it's cold, man.
Yeah,
it's cold for like 8 months out of the year, and they're out there suffering. And depending on the political climate, whoever is in office, whether they will set up a shelter, a warming shelter, or a place for them to go. We also have a lot of agencies up here too that help with that. They'll find housing and they'll stay in a room or a hotel or something like that. So yeah, we have resources, but it's not a lot. It's not a lot at all. So a lot of the time in the winter, you'll see them go to the homeless shelters. And in the summer, they're kind of out and about and they're in the streets. Like you can't go anywhere in the city that I'm in. You can't go anywhere in the city that I'm in and not encounter someone in the unhoused population. So.
Okay. But assuming that I wouldn't think it's a huge city. You'd probably they notice you and they're pretty familiar with you and
yeah.
But I know. But when you mentioned, and I know it's become throughout the years, and I think it's getting much worse right now with regards to the stronger drugs that are out there right now. That's out there. That then some of the folks before that were just unhoused. It would just basically be that. It's because it was just the high cost of living and everything like that, and they just can't get back on their feet. But then now you introduce something a little bit stronger, and then you have not just your unhoused and just your addicts, right? So has it gotten worse at that level?
Oh, 100%. It's so bad. And I would like to say it's kind of big. These kinds of population, these issues are big in like big cities, right? And that's kind of how we're becoming, because there are drugs here. You know what I mean? And just because we're over here doesn't mean that we don't get drugs. There's a lot of drugs here, and that
wonder where it's coming from, huh?
Yeah, well, probably I don't know, Mexico, like where it comes from.
I mean, geez, that's a long way. So has fentanyl reached
it there? They'll do it. It'll get here from there. You know what I mean? So people want their money.
Has fentanyl reached up there?
Yeah. Oh my gosh, look at ODs all the time.
That thing is just a different beast on its own.
Yeah, it literally will shut down your system. Like your heart will be beating, but you will stop breathing. It's just the way it works. So, and I've had to use Narcan a bunch of times. I've had to resuscitate people all the time. And it's a horrible epidemic that's coming, because think about it, like when you're undergoing that kind of a lifestyle, of a situation, you're unhoused in an Arctic climate.
Yeah.
Right. You got to escape that. And I'm not trying to make excuses or say anything, but I'm just saying, like, we have to be human, put ourselves in their shoes.
Yes.
They are suffering and I need to make it stop. And what are you going to do? Like, nobody wants to help you. We have little resources up here. So my heart goes out to that community, especially since I started working very closely with that community. I wish there was more resources, but I don't know. I don't know. It's just one person at a time. You can only make a difference 1% at a time. And that's kind of where we're at. So
okay. So the next move in Vegas, and that's organically gonna grow there. I mean, your next step in cinematography, or and just maybe even just additional social media and just documenting your move and everything. I definitely want to touch, because I think we were chatting about this a little bit earlier. Filipino wife, you've mentioned her quite a bit here. What I want to touch on that is, it's an interesting family religious dynamic. How does that work? How do you allow
Navigate.
that to work? Yeah,
Yeah.
navigate through that within your household.
Well, it's it's really spouse dependent, right?
Hmm.
So I'm blessed to have a spouse that I have, and I have talked a lot about her because I guess she's my
Love
other
her.
half. Yeah. I love you, honey. No, no. So when it comes to navigating religiously, let's talk religiously.
Hmm.
Um, I, from my perspective, I was, born and raised conservative Buddhist, right? Um, and my grandpa even was a Buddhist monk for a lot of
Oh,
his lifetime.
wow.
So I was around my grandpa, and they call it sankali, which is like just a person that follows the Buddhist monk, and basically like a little helper
Okay.
on the Buddhist grounds. So that's what I did a lot of my life. I actually never ordained as a monk as a kid. I never chose to. It just never came up, or never had the. I've always had the opportunity, I just never did. So grandpa passed away right before I joined the army.
Mm.
The day that I enlisted, I came home. He was on his deathbed,
Oh,
and I
jeez.
told him, I was like, "Grandpa, I joined," and he was he was delirious. He was like, "I'm so proud of you. Good job." And I remember um, either my dad or an uncle feeding him his last porridge, and then he had
Mhm.
passed away shortly after. So that I I say that because it has impacted me so heavily, seeing my grandpa as that kind of person. He's had a lot of impact on my life, and so he was a Buddhist monk. I can't let that go, and I can't let go of my roots of being a Buddhist. However, I do believe in Jesus, and I do believe in God. So
Mhm.
so I might not be your what do you call it, mainstream, or your
Traditional.
conventional
Yeah.
traditional Christian, right? As it is, I'm actually not even baptized, but you know, I believe in Jesus. I believe in God,
Mhm.
right? Um, and my wife is Catholic. She
Mhm.
was born in the Catholic Church, um, and we got married in the Catholic Church, right? Um, so yeah, how do we navigate
Yeah.
religiously? It's just we just accept that God is real and He is first,
Mhm.
right? But Buddhism doesn't teach to praise Him, and that's been the blessing, honestly. And I think that people who are Buddhists and who have a partner that is Christian or Catholic or something else, just understand that like Buddha himself does not want you to worship him. He doesn't. He is a teacher, and he, had his time where he walked the earth, and he had like a bunch of people who sat alongside him and listened to him. Buddhism is about walking the middle path, walking the middle line, right?
Mhm.
So I navigate my life religiously by both philosophies,
Yeah.
um, and I think the thing with Christianity and Catholicism is just accepting that God is real, and that He is the the highest,
Yeah.
and that you believe that His Son was he sacrificed Himself for all of humanity. And yeah, I just kind of just go by that, and maybe I'm wrong, maybe I'm all messed up, maybe I'm going to hell, but
No,
this is how
no,
you know
you're absolutely not. I mean, it's, with the world how it is nowadays, with the information readily available, you
yeah.
don't have to seek out a library book to even understand, another one. And especially you can watch videos, and you can, there's books on tape and everything like that. And
Yeah.
even it's all available out there to you now. And
Yeah.
I mean, there's no two truths can be right.
Right.
Right, and they can
Yeah.
exist at the same time. You got two paths going up, religiously, or multiple paths going up religiously.
Yeah.
And that's at least for me. I've got three boys.
Mhm.
It's been fairly easy with regards to with navigating that religiously, because you just have to just make sure and ensure that those religions do exist,
Mhm.
the teachings, and just living the best way of, that you
Yes.
can be kind and
Yeah.
being a good person.
Right.
um And then, at this point, it's just if we navigate these kids to the right direction of being the right, the best person they can be, and then I think that's all we can really do.
Yeah.
Culture wise, though, as far as like with regards to living with a Filipino lady, this is and in that community.
Yeah.
Talk to me about the other side, because I know about the Lao community, and I
Yeah.
definitely, I have that's another podcast. But talk to me about your experiences.
I love the Filipino community. They are musical, they're colorful, they're lively, just warm, loving people, just like Lao people. I haven't seen the negative side yet. I guess that's good, having been married to my wife since like 2013. 2016, 15. She's gonna get mad, but but it's been awesome. I was taken in with open arms and very accepting. So I don't know. I love the food. It's not like Lao food, but it is like Lao food, if that makes sense. It's vinegar and salt, right? Versus Lao food is like spicy and like umami, right? So I get a lot of Filipino food. My mother-in-law, she makes the best. She's Visayan. I don't know what are you, brother?
Okay.
What are you?
I'm Ilocano.
Ilocano. Okay.
Yes.
So yeah, I love Visayan version or whatever she makes.
Yeah. There's
food,
and that's the thing with so many islands over there. Every island has either their own they have their own dialect, and they also have their own way of cooking a particular thing.
Yeah.
That's, I mean, on the other side of things, what I very much love about Lao food is just, it's not even the food is it's delicious. I love spicy food. The food is delicious, but it's the freshness. I mean, if you sit there and you order some lap, or just make yourself some lap, and it's accompanied by probably the biggest basket of fresh vegetables.
Yes.
I didn't know I can eat these vegetables raw until I got into the Lao culture. I was like, oh, and this is fine, and and it just feels so organic.
So do you guys eat more Lao food at home then?
I throw down. I'm the guy. So the wife usually has, and whatever she's craving, I'll throw it down. So I've actually managed to outdo certain dishes of my in-laws and everything.
Okay.
So yeah,
Okay.
no, I love it. It's but it's just but and I also throw down a lot of Filipino food, but at the same time, it's just the Filipino food is just, it's really there's a lot of pork. It's really rich, very savory. So I like to. There's definitely been fusion in the house. I made my sinigang, and then all of a sudden my wife starts putting some beef thread in there. I was like, okay, this works.
Yeah,
this works. And you eat it with some shrimp paste and a Thai chili. I was like, okay, here we are. Look at us. Filipinos.
That's awesome. I love me a good dinuguan.
Okay,
sinigang I can't do sinigang, to be honest. I think it's just the soup is too sour for me. I have a funny story. My wife, girlfriend at the time, she brought me over to the house, and she was like, I'll make you some food. So she made me some chicken adobo.
Okay.
And it's so funny because so when I say sticky rice, I meant sticky rice.
Yeah.
Right. So she's like, you eat sticky rice with your hands? I'm like, yeah, of course I do. You do? Okay, cool. Yeah, I love you. You know what I mean?
It's different.
And different. Right. And so she she sits down and she serves me a plate of food of sticky rice. And then she gives the chicken adobo. So she's up, she's got her her foot up like this, she's like going to town, and it's sticky rice.
Yeah,
and she's just eating, she's just rubbing, and I'm just like, what is going on right now? Because it's not sticky rice, it's jasmine rice. What are you doing? So she's it's doing her thing, and so I'm like, all right. So I take a bite into the chicken adobo, and I'm like, I nearly have a stroke, and I'm like, whoa, what is going on?
What is this flavor?
Right? Because I'm not used to that intensity, that kind of that profile. And she just looks at me like, huh? I'm like, hold on, let's clarify a few things here. So yeah, I was just, it was just a good moment between the both of us. That was where the cultures kind of met for the first time, was that lunch together, where one, I'm not used to the saltiness and the vinegar part, which I learned to love eventually. I love it now. And then two, we don't eat sticky rice like that. I need a spoon.
She had to teach you how to properly pick it up with this claw, and then just
Right.
how to shove it in with the sauces in it. That's kind of what it is. No,
So yeah.
so the first time I seen a Lao family
Yeah.
have a meal was when I believe it was 7th grade, and we were playing basketball. I had a Lao friend and in the neighborhood, and we were just playing basketball, and he's like, hey, and it was starting to get late, and he's like, hey, you just go ahead and come eat. So my family just made some food. I was like, oh, absolutely, let's go, free meal, let's go. I get in there, and everybody's on the ground on a side,
Yeah.
and all the food's laid out, and
Yeah.
and it was almost, I think they had just started, um and I'm sitting there, and I'm like, okay. So I take my shoes off, and everybody's supposed to sit there, and I was like, this is perfect. But it's communal.
Yeah.
Everything was communal.
Yes.
Everything was just and this was the very first time. And I saw how it was with regards to, like, everybody's kind of just eating out of the main entree bowls, and just how you're just making the yes, press it on your rice, making a little bit of a tunnel, and then you're pressing it in. And I was just kind of like, this is too new to me. I kind of got freaked out, and I was just like, you know what? I think my Lola, my grandma, had I think she cooked.
Yeah.
And I sat there, and I couldn't absorb it, just mainly because, number one, it was still foreign to me as far as the family was concerned, and also it's like I didn't feel as comfortable, eating with a family that, I mean, I didn't want to put my fingers into their food.
Yeah.
And I felt uncomfortable. But then after a
Yeah.
while, I started dating my wife, and it was just, I started seeing it. I was like, it's supposed to be like that. It actually also forces you to have that family moment, and that's really, like I said, I loved it, and it was just, and now that's what we do. That's what we do.
Yeah. I think communal wise is a good way of putting it, because you even talk about like diseases. You know what I mean?
I mean,
Everybody
imagine like
gets sick
COVID.
together. You know what I mean? Everybody gets sick together, and we're all gonna get strong together. Our immune system. So my mom though, she's like, we're in the 21st century. We don't have to eat like that.
I know.
So she's like, so my mom specifically, I go back, most recent visit, she puts like, spoons and whatever and every other thing. And then she doesn't have the rice basket normal now. She puts it all in a like a Ziploc thing.
Okay, the individual one. I appreciate that. No, I appreciate that.
You know what I mean?
Have you seen the Lao ladies, or do you even do it in the rice cooker now?
Wait, what?
My in-law, my mother-in-law, she cooked it one time in the rice cooker, and it came out fine.
You can do that?
Like, I guess she's seen. I mean, she's, you introduce them to YouTube, and all the other ladies are just doing it. They're breaking the game. I guess try it out. I've never tried it. I like flipping the basket and everything like that. And it's definitely
authentic.
a skill. Definitely the skill of that. Dope, man. But now you're gonna be living in Vegas, moving to Vegas. Yeah. Things are gonna be start and move there for you. Congratulations on the move. When's so that's gonna be coming up pretty soon here.
Yeah, pretty soon. It's I guess shout out again to my wife. She just got her civilian certification. She just passed for her X-ray stuff.
Great.
So that means now she's on the job search. So, and we have family down there, so she'll be moving first while I wrap things up here, and then I'll be down there. So
okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'm looking at the clock here. I want to be very sensitive to your time, because I know you're also a father there, and you got to take care of the fatherly duties as Miss Boutsomsi.
Yes.
Boutsomsi, does her thing outside of town here. How can we follow? I'm intrigued with this move. How can we follow your documentation? Are you going to put that out there?
Yeah. Actually, currently I'm working on a video for YouTube, because I need to be more intentional about getting bigger on YouTube. I don't have a following on YouTube. I have like 20 people maybe. My biggest following is on TikTok, which like 13,000.
That's crazy. That's crazy.
Yeah.
How to have transition all these. I mean, Insta, you're pretty big. TikTok, you're huge, and it's just you want them to get to this longer content, because you obviously, there's so much more depth in you and the way you're actually portraying on these little skits, and that's why I really wanted to get to you. I'm sitting here as we're unpacking John here, Buk John, and it's just like there's so much more to you. So, if you're watching this video, let's see, you got to learn more about this guy, especially in your move here and just in what you're doing right now. So you're doing more longer content as opposed to these shorts.
Yeah.
And so that's in YouTube.
Yes. So, my wife is gone obviously for 7 days or something like that. And I was like, I'm not going to tell her, but I'm going to tear apart the freaking room. So I'm tearing everything apart in the master bedroom. and you guys will, like you said, more in
The
depth.
master?
Yeah, the master
What are
bedroom.
you doing?
Yeah, I know, right? So if you know me, I have severe ADHD, right? So that means like every project that I've started has like started and then stopped. Started. So if you like walk around my house, there's like holes all around the house. I'm like, I
Oh my
gotta get
goodness.
better at this. Like it's really bad. But I'm medicated now. I'm medicated.
Okay.
So yeah, I tore everything out last night, and I'm gonna paint as quickly and as soon as possible because she's gonna get back in on Thursday. So I'm on a time crunch. I'm gonna get it done. I'm gonna finish it. So that'll be up on YouTube.
What's the project? You're actually just doing that. Okay, I thought you're rebuilding your master for it to be some sort of a background to a content studio.
Oh,
Dude. It's
no,
like, okay, I was just thinking
no.
ahead. I was like, what is he doing?
No, well, it's funny. It's funny. You'll see it in the video, but the master bedroom actually is like half painted. It's like this deep dark blue.
Okay.
And then I just like, you could just tell like I'm done coloring and then it's just white. So she's had to live with my mess, you know what I mean? Like for at least a year. Yeah. Hilarious. So I'm just gonna make it all one color now, and hopefully I'll be able to document it well and be on there. So
and so you're gonna continue though. You're gonna continue with are you kind of weaning off the Lao culture content, or is it kind of just like I'm gonna go parallel here and see what sticks still?
I'm going to continue to do it because eventually down the road, like I said, I want to represent the people. But one of the biggest projects, and probably one of the, and we didn't talk about this much prior to the show, but one thing that I really want to do is build a cultural center for Lao people. And I have this on my website. It's called the Lao Legacy Project. And I want a spot where everybody can flock to. And I think Las Vegas, honestly, Las Vegas is going to be the location where we should build the cultural center. So that's why I'm going to continue to do Lao content, because that is my dream down the road. But two, I think in order to achieve that dream, people have to trust me and people have to get to know me. So I'm kind of throwing little things here and there. Like, you know what I mean? If people understand who I am, where I come from, my background, that like, for example, why would anybody want to follow me? Why? Right? He's just this funny dude. That's it. That's all he does. Like, you know, he's just nonsense, right? But I truly believe that I was put on this earth and I know I did the stuff that I do, like, you know, mental health and running these streets, you know, and all that, and being in media and being on stage, like that all applies to a bigger cause.
Yeah.
Which is maybe, you know, to help my community. So
wow,
because all those skills matter, all those skills count. Like one of the biggest epidemics in Lao society, Lao culture, is mental health. People are just now coming to terms with how mental health is affecting our people.
Yeah.
We have uncles and aunts who were literally guerrilla fighters in Laos and Thailand with you know, during the war, the secret war. And then they came back and they weren't documented or anything by the United States government. So they're not getting any veterans benefits, but they served in a war. They literally saved American troops from, you know, helicopters. They saw people die. They were shot at, you know, they did guerrilla war fighting, and then they're here and then they've lived their entire life with that deep inside. And then it's all coming out, because at least in my family, it's coming out for some of my uncles. And it's showing up negatively, and our people are suffering. So like I said, I really think that there's a reason as to why I, you know, was in the military, and then I went to mental health, and now, you know, a cop, and now I'm doing this. Like there's a purpose, and I think there's a reason as to why all those skills will matter in the future.
Yeah.
So back to the main point.
So you know? No, just to piggyback on that, I'm glad you're saying that, and it's just and to like I said, to piggyback on that, I don't think it's even just that, you know, the ones that had to see all of that, you know, just those things that before they even migrated over and forced them to migrate over. It's also the trickle down of still the first gen children that actually came through. And I'm sure this is also part of, you know, what your intention is. I was just celebrating a birthday over the weekend of a friend, and he was like, I don't even know if this is really my real birthday. You know, during the migration, you know,
Yes.
they lost all my birth
Yeah.
certificates and all the
Yeah.
documentation, and that's
Yeah.
very, very common. And that's,
Yeah.
I mean, that's also something from, you know, back in back in the middle school when
Yeah.
my friend that invited me over, he was like, you know, I was like, what is your last name? It's NLN. It's like, and I was like, how do you pronounce that? Nilin. And it's like, no, it just stands for no last name. And that was through the migration itself. And
No
then,
way.
so imagine having to now just grow and just now, first you're assimilating in this culture. You don't even know your true identity, and even down to your birthday. And that's, you know, how does that affect you up here, you know, and just follow. And it's just, that's insane to me. That's insane to me. And then, and just as simple as just providing proper documentation just to,
Yes.
you know, just get into other doors. And
Yes.
so how does that affect? No, that's wild, man. So I'm the Lao, Lao Culture Arts Center. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I would love
Lao.
to have some type of Lao Cultural Center
Mm-hmm,
that,
mm-hmm,
you know, holds our history. I
mm-hmm.
want to
That's
document the
amazing.
Lao Secret War, you know, on the walls. I
Mm-hmm.
want, you know, us to have like maybe like a dance team,
Mm.
you know, like a boxing school where we teach not Muay Thai but
Just within the
Muay
culture.
Baran, which is like an older, you know, Thai, or sorry, an older Southeast Asian martial arts, was like
Martial arts
from the
stuff.
Baran
Wow.
days. Yeah. And yeah, I just want everything all out. And I've had some organizations contact me and they're like, why Vegas? Why?
Mm.
I was like, because it's cheap to get to Vegas and it's accommodating in Vegas. Why not Texas? Because the largest population and density is in Texas. And I was like, that's a good point. I know, right? That's
Come on over.
come on over. But that's a good point. Maybe I can have like chapters, but I think the reason why Vegas is because everyone will go to Vegas. They're literally building a bullet train or a train, Texas to Vegas. So
Is
why
that
not?
right?
I believe
Hey,
so. Yes,
I like
from
that.
rumors and from what my in-laws in Vegas are saying that they're building it right now.
Okay. Okay.
And so yeah, and plus we gamble. Let's be real. Like Kun
That
Lao,
could
we
be
gamble.
very
You know what I
dangerous to
mean?
you, bro. That could be
Right,
very dangerous to you.
right.
Because
Uh,
I know how the locals are over here, the Lao community over here. They're very quick
right.
to the fingers. So no, but at the same time, no, you're bringing up a lot of points. I mean, you've definitely done. I'm sure this isn't one of those like spur of the moment, like on a whim type of a decision. I was like, we're gonna go there, and plus family there. You've got,
Yeah,
you know, from one place to another, you want to already have that like family community, especially with the kids,
yeah.
because you're gonna transition just fine.
Yeah, it's just been one of those things. Like I haven't heard an argument yet that will tell me to do otherwise. And I
Heat,
heat.
heat. That's really it, right?
Yeah,
Heat.
but I mean, it's a visit. It's a cultural center, right? So if you're in Vegas, you might as well go see the cultural
Yeah,
center.
yeah.
You know what I mean?
I like it. I
I need a
like it.
place to stay. Oh well, you're at Vegas, so there's like
Oh
1,000. You know what
yeah,
I mean? Hotels.
yeah.
You know what I mean? I want it to be the Mecca. I want it to be a place where we visit, where people come to learn about us,
Destination.
right?
Yeah, definitely
Yeah,
destination.
it's a destination. It's not
I
a
like
place
it.
where, you know, people just like live or anything, but
There's always those down times when you've lost all your money from the casino. You're like, you know what? Let's take the Uber over
yeah, let's
at the cultural
it's cool,
center. No, that's no. I
right?
think, you know what? I think those that can. I think there's legs there. I
Yeah,
think there's
man.
legs for that. I am rooting for you.
Yeah.
You're obviously a very impressive person.
Oh, thank you.
You know, like I said, it's when I first learned about you and I first started seeing your content, I was like, oh, he's silly. He's a silly dude. He's got a thing on his head, and he started doing all, you know,
Yeah,
saying
yeah,
all this stuff, and then all of a sudden, you know, I'm glad I was introduced to you. I have a feeling that this won't be the last time we're probably on camera together. I want to support what you do. Just let me know, you know, what's next. I know you're
yeah,
going to want to do more and longer content. If there's opportunity that you and I can work together, I definitely
yeah.
would love that, because I want to,
Of
you know, I
course.
want to
Yeah.
make sure that stuff that happens. Okay. So, like I said, I want to be sensitive to your time. Thank you so much for joining me here.
Yeah,
Let
man.
them know your socials, and then I'm gonna let
All
you
right.
run here.
All right. Buk John on TikTok. Just you know, search there, and please, for the life of me, okay, YouTube. Go follow me on YouTube, and then you
Follow
can
my
get
guy
to
on
know a little
YouTube.
bit more
Okay.
about me. Yeah, yeah. So
I
that's
will put all that stuff on the
pretty it.
screen here.
All right.
And of course Insta. That's where I first saw you on there. We'll get all your socials and everything on there. And you said you had a website. Is
Yeah.
that
So
in the
it's gonna
works?
No, it's up. I really need to be serious about it. But it's called laoplanet.org.
Okay.
So laoplanet.org or buckjohn.com. I have both domains.
Perfect.
It's
Perfect.
still up. Sometimes you just get, fixated on something and you do it. So yeah, it's up.
Yeah.
And then you can learn more about the cultural center on there. I put some information up. So just
Well,
trying to
good
grow a
luck.
following,
Good luck, brother. And I know how hard it is. Trust me, I know how hard it is to be just a one man show, really trying to, make a difference. I'm over here I'm just in the corner of I'm just doing in the corner of my loft, broadcasting this thing. And I think you've got, same with you up there.
Yeah.
Um, let me know how else I can help. And
course, man.
we'll try to get you as much as out there. Okay.
All right. Thank you for having me on. I really appreciate it. It means a lot. So
No, it's my pleasure. This was you have an amazing story, and I know you're going to continue to build onto that story, and then we'll catch up, periodically, and you can just keep telling me how the story and the progress goes. We'll talk more. Maybe we'll have the lady on, the wifey on. We'll meet her, and
we
she'll
can have
talk
yours
more
on as
about the
well, so
room.
we can do a couples
panel,
podcast.
a Latino panel.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
great.
Yeah.
All right, guys. I'm gonna go ahead and sign off for him. We're gonna go ahead and let John go. John, stay just for a quick second. We'll just talk about it a little bit more. But everybody else, thank you for joining. We'll see you guys next time.